Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are so happy to do this video. We were waiting for the decision of the Italian Constitutional Court and today the decision arrived. What does it mean for you? This is Marco Bersani, as always from the Bersani Law Office from Italy, an Italian immigration law firm with expertise on Italian citizenship by descent application. So do not lose any more time and let's start. So today we want to focus on what the court says and so why the decision of the Constitutional Court is very, very important and a game changer for you, positively speaking, of course, for the application together, if you have a pending application, of course, but also if you want to start a new application. We will talk about the legal complication for all the cases with the court, but also with the council and the municipality, because do not remember, we will explain you later a little bit better, but do not remember that the Italian Constitution is the highest law. So nobody can go above the Italian Constitution. So what the Constitutional Court says, the Constitutional Court is the guardian of the Italian constitutional law. This is a really game changer and everybody, all the authorities, all offices, municipalities, consulates, or also the Italian courts, they have to follow the statement of the Italian Constitution. So today we will focus on those topics. So we want to focus on the key points, what the decision is, the legal consequences of the decision of the Italian Constitutional Court about Italian citizenship by descent, how this decision is so important for you, for your case, both in case you have a pending case already pending with Italian authorities, Italian court or the Italian consulate, and for the future applications. So if you want to file now an application for Italian citizenship by descent. So let's start a little bit to talk about it, about the decision and how the decision was made. So just to make a very quick summary, both in case you already know about what we are talking about because you are following our YouTube channel, and if you're not following the channel, we totally suggest you to make a like of the video, subscribe to the channel. It's very, very important both for supporting us but also for receiving the most important latest update about Italian citizenship by descent and all updates about Italian immigration law. The Italian Constitutional Court were called to make a decision about the rules for the application for Italian citizenship by descent last year. Last year, indeed, a few tribunals, a few courts in Italy, local courts like the Court of Milano, the Bologna, Florence, they raised some questions. They decided in some pending cases, to raise some question in front of the Italian Constitutional Court. They say, okay, I understand you want to claim your Italian citizenship by descent. You're just showing your line starting from your great-grandfather, for example. So the local court says, maybe you need to provide something else, some genuine connection, additional connection, prove me that, for example, you know Italian language or you have some strong connection with Italian heritage. And so they decided to forward these questions, these topics in front of the Constitutional Court. So this is the key point of everything. And the Italian Constitutional Court made the decision today. The Italian Constitutional Court says on the decision 142 of 2025, the Italian Constitutional Court says, well, you as a court, you cannot create more requirements. It's only the parliament, it's the Italian parliament that must rule if they want to create some requirements, also restrictions, who has the legal power to make laws, of course, to make new rules, and how citizenship by descent can be ruled and can be processed. So this is very, very important and has some really important legal consequences now for all the pending cases, but for all the future cases. Now, I think that you may be asking yourself, okay, I understand that these are ruling very important for all people under the old rules, but I'm not under the old rules anymore. The law is changed with the new law 74/2025. So what do I have to do now? So there are two things to consider. Pay attention on this. So this decision of the Italian Constitutional Court that was made now today on July 31 of 2025 is very important for two things. One, you need to also think that now the new legislation, the new law 74/2025, was also forward in front of the Constitutional Court because you maybe heard that the Court of Turin also raised some constitutional concern on the new legislation. So the Constitutional Court now will also make a constitutional check on the new law that was approved by the parliament, before by the government with a decree law, but after approved with the parliament in the end of May 2025. So the Constitutional Court now will also make a constitutional check, and we are pretty optimistic that the Constitutional Court will also say yes, the new law also have some legal constitutional concern. So why the decision now is very important? It's very important for this future ruling, because we know now what is the approach of the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court is considering the Italian citizenship by descent as a very important thing. So they are saying that the old legislation is that there cannot be changes, and so what is also said, the legislation can be made by the parliament, but the parliament can make all the rulings without some arbitrary statement or some arbitrary action. And this is what happened. This is what happened because if you remember, the new legislation of the Italian citizenship by descent, beside all the legal concern on the text, but the approach was that was not the Italian parliament to do that. It was the government that made an emergency decree. So they made an arbitrary statement, the arbitrary action to make one day by another, immediately without any expectation, with a completely surprise situation, they just made a cut. This is an arbitrary approach, and so we are pretty sure that also thanks to this decision of the Constitutional Court, the future Constitutional Court decision will be also affect positively for you, of course, with that decision can be in some ways cancel the old legislation too. So you need to consider now that also if you want to file now, you have not to be scared that there is a new legislation in place. You need to file your application. You have not to wait. If you have a case, you need to file your case to the court, of course, but you need to file your case. So you have not to wait now. And also if until now you had some doubt, you were scared, you have not to be scared, you have not to have some doubts, but you need to fight your case, continue to file your application. So contact your Italian immigration attorney, your Italian citizenship attorney, and file your application, because things are moving positively. We are making some really good progress, and we are pretty sure there will be some also good progress. So you need to, that's the way to proceed. We need to continue fighting the case. All the results now are thanks to all applicants that decided to continue to give trust to the Italian immigration attorney to fight the cases, and so that's why now we have some good results. That's the way to proceed. So I will said in a recent video, we also did a recent video about talking the new legislation and all the constitutional concern. If you never saw this video, you can watch the video, you can find it here also linked, and also linked in the description. Watch the video because we talk about the new legislation and how we think the new legislation will be challenged. For sure, we predicted that the legislation will be challenged, and so now it's actually challenged in front of the Constitutional Court. So it's very important. You have not to give up. You have not to stay on hold. If you have a case also on the so-called old rules, you need to apply. And also, as we said in that video, and that's also this is the second reason why the decision of the Constitutional Court is very important. As we also talked in that other video before, a few weeks ago, talking about the new legislation about Italian citizenship by descent, we explained that technically now, if you file now, you are still eligible under the old rules. So you don't need to think that given the fact that you file now, you are under the old legislation. Not necessary. If you were already born before March 2025, you are eligible under the old legislation. Why? Because you were born before the new legislation, so you already got your right of Italian citizenship by descent at your birth, at the moment of your birth. And the moment of your birth happened before the new legislation. This is not just our random interpretation, but there was already a legal precedent from a local tribunal, where the judge specifically said, yes, you are still under the old legislation because you were born before the new legislation. And the old legislation can be applicable for now, for the future, not for now and for the past. So if you were already born before, so if you are at least 1 year old, you can apply under the old rules. So you can benefit of the Italian Constitutional Court decision of today. So we can say that mainly, I think 90% of everybody are still now eligible. That's why you have not to wait, you have not to surrender, and you need to file now. Because now we are pretty sure that all people that were on hold, waiting, now it will start to challenge the cases. So you need to also expect that processing time will be longer and longer. So the more you wait, the longer you need to wait. The court right now, of course, they are handling thousands and thousands of cases, so they are completely backlogged. So what we suggest is to file your case, contact your local immigration attorney, Italian immigration attorney, and proceed with challenge your Italian citizenship by descent application. That's very, very important. It's something that we said a few months ago and we are still saying, because this is the way to proceed. Of course, if you have some questions, some doubts, something you want to ask, you can leave some comments below in the comment section. The team is always ready to provide you some really very short answer, of course, because we cannot do consultation. We always say that we cannot do consultation on social medias, and so also on YouTube. If you want to talk about your case, you want us to analyze your case, to have a face-to-face conversation, you can book a consultation call. That's the way to proceed. So go on the website and book a consultation call, so we can better talk about your case, your situation, your concern. If you have questions, analyze your case, analyze all the pros and the cons of your case, the risk, everything that can be covered about on the consultation call. That's very, very important. That's the way we suggest you proceed. So do not give up. As always, do not give up, and continue and start filing your application if you are still on hold, waiting for news. Now is the moment to proceed more than ever. Thank you so much for your time, and see you on the next videos.